Okay, this is actually a very long PowerPoint with a very short presentation because there's not a bunch of stuff you need to memorize or study on this. It is a list of ideas. And as I said in the text on the modules, this is not an example of every way you should represent data, but I think there's some good pros and cons. You can see what you like. I think some of her things are too busy, too much information, too big, but this is a lengthy 77 slide presentation that's very relevant from UC Davis, the Fresh Cut Products Division, and it presents a tremendously valuable set of data, even though it's now getting a little old. That doesn't matter because it's all about data presentation, what data looks like. And so, here's a flow chart. All right, that's a way we didn't talk about, but there are specific flow charting tools that can really make the flow chart process really manageable. And there are special tips and tricks about flow charts as well. And so this is just one idea. Tables of information. It doesn't have to be a graph. It can be tables of information and raw numbers showing percentages. This could easily have come out of Excel and just use a more informal font and font color and background to make it look a little bit more presentable to this class. Now, this is not an Excel class. This is a class on produce, fresh cut produce. And still, look at this presentation with ideas. Here is a column graph, and you'll notice that the column graph is set up where it also is showing negative numbers. And that's really important to know. We didn't talk about that, but here's a great simple graph, and using some tool, possibly text boxes or possibly some other labeling tool. Maybe she didn't use Excel to create some of this, but you can easily see how there are other ways to represent some really cool data. A 3D column chart, again, showing positive and negative numbers and completely hiding the grid lines. Is this something I would think is the greatest chart? I don't know, it leaves a little something to be desired for me, but I do get it. I see they're talking about sales and quantity of product, how it changed from the prior year, because this is change versus prior year. That's why they're negative numbers. A nice cool way of representing graphics, something I didn't show you in Excel. You can use actual photograph pictures to represent your columns or other graphical elements. And here, they're talking about produce, so maybe this is sliced oranges or something for kids' lunches. I don't know. But showing the oranges as a different kind of pie chart, if you will, pretty cool. A bar chart showing the data organized by largest to smallest or most negative, and it's showing negative bars or the food inflation compound average at 3%. Oh, so it's not negative, excuse me. It's showing anything below the annual rate of 3% as red. Comparisons of weekly sales, weekly quantity. Again, you're getting the idea. I just want you to flip through this and see what you like and don't like. Here's some pie chart based on share of households and income level data and fresh produce expenditures. Again, simple tables. Sometimes a table is way better than a graph. You can summarize data to show some very simple summary information values like they do here. Again, read the details to know what they're talking about. Another pie chart, another pie chart, another pie chart. Some of these maybe are a little bit on the too big side. Maybe I would shrink that down or make the pie a little bigger. There's room to make that pie bigger. And if I brought the pie down closer to the edge here, I bet that snacking would fit. And you can make the pie bigger in Excel. Again, some examples where charts work the best. Household income versus the percent. Maybe a chart works best, or maybe you look at this and say, you know what? I think that would look better as a column chart or something of that sort. Now here is an area chart. Now this, I think they call it a stacked area chart. So it is adding up all of the different products. So head lettuce, the big one, it's showing an area based on the pounds per capita per person. And in the range of 85 to 2013. So how many pounds per year per person are being consumed of head lettuce? What about romaine lettuce? What about leaf lettuce? And it just adds them up. This is not saying that leaf lettuce is the king, because leaf lettuce has the most. It's adding them together. And you can do area charts that are one on top of the other. And so the top line shows the area. It's more like a line chart with the area coming down. You got to be careful on those. This is a stacked area chart, but a really good way to represent some data, and Excel does this too. Excel would make this, this easily could have been made in Excel and copied here, and then just throw on the label for the source data. A simple line chart, including not only production lines, but import-export lines down near the bottom. Another line chart showing some nice fancy details, tables. This one looks like there's a translation problem. These numbers are supposed to be over. So that's another thing to be worried about when you're creating these things and putting them into a PowerPoint or something. Did you lose any of the formatting and have things not displaying properly? And here you can see that there is some problem with the display that needs to be fixed. More charts, bar charts, pie charts. Again, I'm not going to go through all 70, but there's a lot of good examples of tables and charts representing lots of data to present to this class. And look at some of these and try to figure them out and say, what is this telling me? If you can understand what it's telling you and it makes sense when you look at it, then it's a good chart. You shouldn't need somebody to explain it if it's a really good, well-designed chart or table. Okay? So again, lots of different ideas. And the idea is to just look what works, what doesn't work, what is missing. And since you weren't part of the class, you can probably decide what's missing pretty quickly. All right? So that's it for this presentation. There's nothing you have to memorize or study, but if you need to make a chart for some of your data in this class, there's some good ideas in here of how you might make it look. Maybe not all the fonts and colors. I mean, you pick that yourself. You use your own company color set so that your colors look good. You know what? IBM always uses blue. Nike always has their swoosh on something, etc. You know, there's specific colors for different companies within their color set, and you should have your colors. What is your RGB color, and what is your CMY color set for printing? We'll get to that later, but you know, think about it. What are the colors you prefer?